I just wanted to make this video and talk about, um, chronic Lyme disease. And I watched a video with Avril Lavigne. And I guess what's cool about it is that you get to see the raw emotional component that's involved with this illness. You know, I hate to say it, but, when I went through that illness, it sort of hardened me. And it's good. I guess I've gotten tough spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. But one thing I remember is when I was bedridden for almost 2 years, and nobody seemed to understand. What's wrong with this guy? He doesn't look that bad. I mean, yeah, he doesn't look great, but he doesn't look like he's dying. He certainly, like if you look at Avril Lavigne in her video, and I mean, she still looks fantastic on the surface. Yet inside, that's where all hell seems to be breaking loose. And God, I remember that. It was so horrible. I remember, you know, losing everything and feeling totally vulnerable, totally hopeless. And then I remember trying to go and earn money and do things and try to be productive. And I remember coming home and just crying, realizing that I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't even do, a 4-hour workday. It was too much for me. you know, so what do you do? What do you do when you're trapped in that situation? That's the unsolvable riddle. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. You have nowhere to turn because when you go to the traditional practitioners, what happens is they give you their drugs and they give you, basically they give you their drugs. That's usually what they do. They, at first, before you get diagnosed, they tell you that it's mental illness. You've got anxiety. Here, take these anti-anxiety drugs. Then if you keep coming back, they'll say, well, we better do some tests. So they do some tests. If you're lucky, they might find it. And then, unfortunately, if you figure out you have Lyme, you're going to have a whole nother series of problems that you're going to have to deal with now because now you actually have the diagnosis and you have all the fear associated with it. But then again, you also know what's going on. So at least the mystery seems to be taken away at that point. And you go to the natural doctors and they'll throw you herbs and supplements, and some of them might hook you up to some rife machines or give you some ozonated water or put you on a chlorine dioxide or they'll put you on something. And I'm not saying these are bad things, and I'm not saying they're also going to work either. I tried all that stuff, and I tried the spiritual healers. I remember I was doing healing sessions almost every other day, and ended up maxing out the credit card, and got to the point of losing everything. I remember losing the house, the car, the relationship with a lot of people. And what's sad about that is it sort of hardened me, and I'm trying to get back in touch with my heart center, my heart chakra. I mean, I guess the good news is I recovered. I fully recovered, and the way that I did it, you can link to this video and it'll take you to the 5 keys. I talk about 5 keys that got me well. I finally figured it out for me. Everybody's different, but for me, I figured it out. But unfortunately, this other residue of knowing that this world can be so damn cold and people can be so ignorant, when people are genuinely suffering, everybody's so busy. They're all busy with their busyness, and they're not really doing anything productive for the most part. Everybody's kind of just getting by. It's just such a ridiculous hypnosis when you think about it. We're also disconnected. We're all digitally wired in, but we're so chemically disconnected. And so here you are, you got this illness, you got this Lyme disease, and you're looking out at the world and you're thinking, man, this just goes on, with or without me, this is going to go on. And where do I go for somebody to understand what I'm going through? I mean, this is, your life is on pause in terms of being productive because you typically can't think straight anymore. You can't do much physically. You're an emotional wreck. You've got symptoms that are tormenting you day in and day out, and you're in constant fear because you probably think you're going to die at any moment, or you could, or things could get worse, and you'd be in the ER and all these things going through your head. And yet, the average person looks at you and says, well, why don't you just pull yourself out of it? I just don't get it. I mean, that's the problem in and of itself. So, I watched the video with Avril Lavigne, and the one thing I picked up was, thank God that celebrities are coming out and talking about this, because this is, it needs to be known that, there is so much ignorance and misunderstanding, and there's a lot of suffering going on. A lot of suffering going on. Lyme is very, very common these days. It's a lot more common than people give it acknowledgement for, and a lot of people have it at varying levels. I talk to people all the time that have it. They see my videos, or they've come and purchased a product from my company because they know that I've dealt with this issue and they want to talk about it. So we talk about it. And there are some common denominators that I see time and time again. And, typically a person feels like before the onset of their illness, they've had like two or three opposing conflicts. Like one of them is that they felt like they didn't belong in their clan, their family clan, and then they went somewhere else. They felt like they didn't belong there, so they feel like they're stuck between two chairs. And, that sort of comes from the study of the German New Medicine, the psychology there. And it makes a lot of sense. That's exactly what happened with me, and that's what I talk about, putting the puzzle together. I found out that for me, it was a mind-body thing. It was a psyche thing. And, yeah. By the way, I want to show you this. This is one of these Pavlok devices. So if you've got like a food addiction or something, you can just go like that. Ooh, and it really does. It sends a jolt, electric current through you. So if you have like an addiction you want to break, you can zap yourself and you can snap out of it. So actually I just did that because I wanted to snap out of that funk that I was in, talking about how things used to be in my life and how horrible it was, and break that pattern and talk about how exciting it is when you get well. So check out the video that I put up if you want, about the 5 things I discovered that got me well. And life is so good on the other side, and I believe that anybody can do it. I believe that the power within you, the God power within you, you can tap into that and make a decision, and you can get the answers that will solve the puzzle for you. Everybody's different. There's no one way for everybody. That I don't think so, at least not right now. There's no magic miracle cure out there. There are some things that are pretty damn good, and I talk about them in the video, but you have to solve the puzzle yourself, and you have to ask the questions within, and then follow your own inner intuition to a better feeling place every step of the way. And I think it's really about putting you and you back together again and getting connected. And then from my experience, that's what does it. So hopefully something here resonated with you. And I don't even really know why I made this video. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Honestly, I just kind of went off the cuff, nothing scripted. Just felt like talking about it. I watched the video with Avril Lavigne, and I thought, yeah, I can relate to that. When she's in the middle of it, that sadness, that deep, deep sadness, that seems to be one of the core emotional components. And what came first, the chicken or the egg? I kind of think like, well, did she get the Lyme and then the sadness came in because she's got the Lyme? Or was she sad before, and then all of a sudden the symptoms of Lyme show up, and it's kind of commingling together as a mind-body illness? I'll leave that for you guys, food for thought. Anyway, hope you find the relief you're looking for if you're struggling. I know the answers are out there, and maybe one day we'll chat. Take care.